Alvin,
Ab,
what's going on?
another day in paradise.
Another day in paradise. It is March 7th, 2025. Welcome to another episode of That Mortgage Show. We got a lot on the docket today, Alvin.
A lot on the docket, a lot of stuff happening. Happening.
We're going to go over some stuff. We're going to get into some stuff. We're going to go through some stuff. We're going to analyze a few things, share our opinions. Al's going to keep us on track here.
Probably the worst job for me, but we'll give it a shot.
A lot's been going on. A lot's been going on in the mortgage world. A lot's been going on in the economy. A lot's been going on in real estate. Sell the headline, buy the rumor.
Ooh, look at you. Polishing up on your one-liners to bring them on the show.
Yep. So, I mean, if I were someone who is a real estate agent, a mortgage professional, maybe you own a home and you're thinking, should I refinance? You're looking to buy a house. You're looking to buy an investment property. If I were one of those people, I'd stick around. Yeah, I'd stick around.
Any of those people, stick around. You might learn a thing or two.
Hey, maybe you learn a thing or two. You should just stick around.
Something that you can plug into a conversation later on today. You know?
Exactly. You might not be in the process of buying a house. Maybe you're interested in that realm and you think, this might be some information to store in the back of my brain for when the time comes. Or maybe you're a real estate agent dealing with clients every day and you want to have some information top of mind so you can be the expert in the room. Stick around.
Stick around. You know, you sound so much more knowledgeable when you can throw out some of Ab's quick facts and about, you know, unemployment and the Treasury bill, the 10-year.
Yeah, and we're going to get into some of that. And there's a lot of volatility. And who doesn't love being at a dinner party? You know, you got your cognac. Do people still drink cognac?
I'm sure they do.
I don't drink, so I wouldn't know. I'm kidding, I drink. But like, is it like they got their, you know, they're drinking they're throwing back their Canadian pile drivers.
One or two of those bad boys, and you're talking about. I mean, you're pulling up charts and graphs on your phone because you're so excited about this stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So you're drinking your Todd Collins, or Tom Collins,
whichever one. Both sound great.
And you got the little onion in your drink, and you're fancy because you got an onion in your freaking drink.
I didn't even know that was a thing. I don't know how I feel about the onion in my drink.
It's completely sophisticated and not disgusting.
You were a barkeeper, so you would know these things. I've never dabbled in barkeep, so I don't know. I'm on the outside looking in.
I had to fish little onions out of the jar they came in and put them in drinks.
Did you use your dirty, grubby little fingers that have been touching money all night?
I was extremely cleanly bartender.
Yeah.
I would use some kind of little freaking spoon or something and put it in their drink.
Do you think there were other people in your industry that were just jamming fingers into the onion thing?
This is circa 2009, 10, 11 perhaps.
Mm-hmm.
And I would pour this swill to my clientele, and then we discuss Obamacare.
Yeah, I'm sure you did.
They'd be drinking their martini.
Yeah.
Let's really get into Obamacare. All right. So if you are looking to be informed, entertained, what have you, stick around.
Mm-hmm. Watch out for that.
So we're gonna get into it. Are we killing time because waiting for a guest?
No.
That's for you to decide. Welcome to another episode of That Mortgage Show. Alvin, it's March 7th.
Mm-hmm.
Perhaps we'll edit out all that, but let's get into it.
I don't think we should. Let's keep it. It's all good stuff. Get to know us.
All right, let's get into the content here, Alvin.
Nitty gritty.
First things first.
Mm-hmm.
First things first. What's always first?
What's your rate?
Rates are moving. They're moving and shaking.
Rates are moving and shaking. Volatile. You mentioned volatility earlier in the segment you may or may not cut. It is volatile out there today. Well, this week.
Extremely volatile. So if you're following the 10-year Treasury bond like we follow, which interest rates follow, you'll see extreme volatility. Perhaps the most volatile week that I've seen in my career. Maybe I didn't follow it much until recently, so I don't know. But I can tell you this. Let me pull up a quick chart here. Do a screen share.
Screen share.
Let's get into our screen shares.
I don't know, man. I remember when that thing was coming down in like 2020. I guess it was 2020 or 2021 when it was like plummeting, and we were like, "Oh my god! Like how low can this go? This is freaking nuts."
Right. So it hasn't plummeted, but I think the up and down has been kind of crazy.
Yeah. Volatile.
So we'll take you back to, February 20th. It was up to 4.5. It's going up to 4.5. Everybody's rates are going up. Rates are going up. This is a catastrophe. Then by the 25th, it dropped to 4.3. 20 basis point swing is a big swing. 5 basis point swing is a big swing. And then it went from 4.3 down to 4.2 the following day, back up to 4.3, back down to 4.2, up all the way down to 4.16, where I'm thinking at that time, could we get into the threes? This is it. This is what we've been waiting for. Could we get into the threes? And then 4.2 the following day, 4.3 the day after that. And now, here we are, March 7th. And where are we today, Alvin? Where are we?
We're at
now?
about 4.24, I think. 4.2. My phone must be a little delayed then. My phone's
Check out the screen share.
Check out the screen share. There, we're at 4.257.
So as you might hear those numbers, and maybe you want to go back and rewatch or look at the graphic, but it's just up. It's just like up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. And for us, and for people that are in process, we're watching the rates. We're watching the interest rate go from 7 to 6.875 to 7 1/8 to 6.75 to 6.99, or we're watching 6.99 go from costing $4,000 in buy down to not costing anything, to costing $2,500 in buy down, to not costing anything. So that's volatility.
Yeah, and it's something we need to keep an eye on. I mean, we got to do our due diligence so we can provide a high level of service. How much benefit can we provide to Mr. and Mrs. Homeowner or Mr. and Mrs. Home Buyer, I should say, if we can save them $4,000 in closing costs, right? Because we locked in on the right day. And that's what can be, among other things, very stressful about the operation and about the job itself is that, you miss that day for whatever reason. You don't lock in because you think things are going to keep going down. And then all of a sudden some sort of news breaks and it jumps back up. That could be a significant difference in terms of closing costs or, monthly payment or both. So,
yeah. And it's, it's just a product of sitting in front of your computer and being in this business. We look at it all day. We look at it all day. We watch it all day. We don't have a crystal ball, but we could be Johnny on the spot and react to something. So if it gets favorable and we have a conversation of your wants and needs, what's your threshold for that $4,000 swing? Should I be targeting the lowest possible rate? At what cost? Blah blah blah. We have these conversations up front, and then watch and lock. And there's value in getting it locked. So to give you some firsthand experience stuff, this is my group of clients that I have, and I've been pricing out. Majority of what I have in right now are purchase loans, and they are government, so VA or FHA, a couple conventional. But I've been pricing up interest rates and offering interest rates between 5.5 and 6.25 for those government loans. Now there's a wide array of cost associated, whether it be the 5.5 or the 6.25. There's a spectrum of what the rates are looking like for a particular person. But that's what I've been tossing around to my clients and even locking in for my clients the last week and a half.
Which is great, by the way. That's fantastic from what we've seen lately,
Right. And it comes down, that spread kind of comes down to the volatility, but it also comes down to like a certain person's wants.
Right.
So it's like, I want the lowest rate possible, and I have X amount of dollars allocated to get the rate that I want.
Yeah.
So, keep that in mind. So although it has been volatile, many people have been able to take advantage of the dips, whether it be through a home purchase or a refinance. gave you some statistics here.
Hit me with some stats.
Refinance activity soared 37% over the previous week and was up 83% compared to this time last year. So people are refinancing a lot more than last year. Conventional refinance applications, to be specific, rose 34%, and government-backed loans, FHA and VA, rose 42% over the past week.
Mm-hmm.
Buyers applying for mortgages to purchase a home also rose to 9%. So buyers are getting back in the market, and people are starting to look to save a little bit of money on a refinance.
Mm-hmm.
Also, last couple of weeks, I've had some clients making offers, and I have some here in Florida. I have had some clients find themselves in multiple offer situations.
Yeah.
So all the markets are different, but we've seen competition lately.
Yeah. And that's down in a place where there's more inventory too, right? I mean, you guys have more houses going up. So that's pretty unique. And this is exactly what we said was going to happen, right? Once spring hits, rates come down a little bit, all these folks have been waiting on the sideline. This is exactly what we said was going to happen. Now, is that indicative of what's going to happen in the future, or, the trend that's going to keep going? I guess time will tell, but, to see it start to happen, it's like, all right, well, maybe it's coming true.
Yeah. So, and that's, it's a good point that all these markets are different. And, just say, like, if you're in the market or you're in the industry, just, deal with what's in front of your face and deal with real practical scenarios, because although we're sitting here reading headlines and analyzing the news and stuff, it's not always what the headlines read or what the YouTube videos and doomers have to say.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's not. Don't listen to sons of bitches. Listen to us.
Speaking of refinancing, Market Watch posted a pretty good article here, or I don't even know if it's, just take it from Market Watch. Here's the headline for you. Alvin, here's the headline for you. Mortgage rates are falling. Here's how much a typical homeowner can save if they refinance. So if you are somebody who is thinking, oh, I've been seeing the news say, should I refinance? Here's what Market Watch is saying. Homeowners with 7% mortgages can save over $100 a month if they refinance, economists say. So according to economists who shall not be named, if you have a 7% or higher, maybe it is time for you to refinance.
Yeah. I mean, if you can get if there's a tangible benefit there, right? Extra $100 a month in your pocket, if you drive a large vehicle, it's a tank of gas for you.
Oh yeah,
free tank of gas.
Right, and it just comes down to like what your scenario is. I would say that if you're scratching your head as far as a refinance goes, then yeah, it is something you should look into, and then have someone like us break down the numbers. And
the way I've always articulated it to people is that especially with one of the easier types of loans, right? Just a straight rate and term refinance, or a VA IRRRL, or an FHA streamline. If you could save $100 a month, some people are like, well, that's just not enough money. And the question is, if you were walking down the street and you looked down and saw a $100 bill, you're not going to pick it up because you don't want to bend over, right? It just doesn't. Still $100 less that you have to spend, $100 that you could spend on something else, right? All your subscriptions and Netflix and HBO Max and Amazon Prime and God knows what else. So it's something.
Everything counts, especially in today's world. And, you got to look, how much does it cost you to refinance? You can skip a couple months. What are you paying off? What else can you pay? What can you do with that money? It's nuanced. So definitely get with an expert.
Yeah.
But the time is coming. You saw, we shared the statistics. Refis are up 83% over last year. So,
right. Or at the very least, have a conversation. And that way, or the loan officer you're working with knows, hey, this is the threshold. This is how much money they want to save. This is what their picture is. This is when it's going to make sense for them. And that way, you're not out there trying to read the tea leaves and figure out when it's a good time. You have an actual professional looking out for you that's going to reach out to you and say, hey, this is when it makes sense to do this, because it's going to check all the boxes you wanted to check in terms of savings, what debt you're paying off, or whatever whatever your goals are. So quick sip, quick swig.
Mid-show swig. What do you say we transition into the next segment here, Alvin?
Let's transition.
Let's transition. So I got a screen share for us. All right, here we go. Surviving a drowning attempt. Prevent drowning when restrained in deep.
God, I love these surprises. I love when you spring something like this on me.
Shit, this is for my other show.
You got another
My
show?
bad. This is for my other
This
podcast.
is how I find out you have another show? What's your show called? What's it about? Who's your co-host?
Oh,
Is it your new best friend down there in Florida? You got a new co-host now? You move out of Maryland, you get a different co-host?
all right. This is for some other show, but since we're here, if you find yourself drowning and you're bound, if you're in the water and your hands and feet are tied, I'm going to point out to you a little diagram here on how to survive. There's a couple different scenarios. You're going to want to go to the bottom and jump up in scenario 1. Scenario 2, you're going to want to like do some kind of fish out of water.
Bend
maneuver
and
to get
arch
your
kind
head
of
out.
thing.
Yeah, bend and arch. And then, the third is very similar. And the fourth is some kind of roll. But anyway, that's how you survive.
Good to know. We told you folks we were going to give you information. We didn't say what kind of information. We just said we were going to give you things to talk about.
That's on me.
I think
I didn't.
Hey, if we can, broaden our reach and broaden our, our knowledge, right? It's not the worst thing in the world, right?
Yeah.
Mile wide, inch deep.
My bad there. Let's say we get into another segment.
Can't wait to see what this is going to be.
The next segment I am calling
How to stop drown while you're being bound.
No. So the next segment, back on track. Let's get this thing back on track.
Okay.
The next segment that we're going to get into, I call tariff good or tariff bad.
Or tariff so-so.
Or tariff so-so. So let's get into it. I got another screen share. It's just I'm just going to share with you guys what I've put together and what I'm going to read, so you can follow along if you'd like. So did a little research. A lot of people talking about tariffs right now. All right, a lot of people talking about tariffs. A lot of armchair quarterbacks saying it's good, saying it's bad. I don't know. I don't know if tariff are good or bad. I don't know too much about tariff. Perhaps tariff could save us and bring us into some kind of utopia. Perhaps tariff will plummet us into some dystopian nightmare. Mm-hmm. I don't know.
Yeah.
But did a little reading, did a little research. I'm going to do a little pros and cons here for us.
Perfect. Because I think we've seen experts, whether you're on social media or you're watching the news, depending on what news you watch, you see experts on both sides, experts saying, these are great. It's going to bring us back. It's going to do all these wonderful things. And there's experts on the other side saying, this is the worst decision ever. It's going to throw us straight into a recession. So,
all right. So I'm going to bust through this, Alvin. Bear with me.
Bust through.
The upside of tariffs. It helps local businesses. Tariffs make imported goods more expensive, which can give local companies a better chance to compete. Example, Trump tariffs aim to boost American manufacturing, bringing back those auto plants and whatnot, and encouraging companies to produce goods in the United States. Source, apnews.com. Tariff good. Thank you, Al. It can bring in government money. So when the government puts tariffs on imports, it collects extra money, which can be used for public projects like roads and schools. Example, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said tariffs could help reduce national debt and protect American workers while fighting unfair foreign trade tactics. Source, NewYorkPost.com. Mm-hmm. Tariff good.
Tariff good.
Last pro we have here, it fights unfair trade practices. Some countries subsidize their industries or flood the market with cheap goods, making it hard for local businesses to compete. Tariffs help level the playing field. Example, the Trump administration placed tariffs on China to combat issues like intellectual property theft and trade imbalances. Source, wikipedia.org. Al, do you have anything you want to add on any of those topics before we move on to the cons? I specifically am looking at you as far as fighting unfair trade practices. What do you got on that front? What can you say?
I mean, I think you pretty much covered it,
Do you think that's fair out there?
Do I think it's fair right now?
Just as some guy in the world What do you think?
Tired of every damn thing being made in China. Every time I turn over a label, it says made in China. I'll tell you that much.
Mm-hmm.
No, and I mean, with cheaper goods, things like, how much of an uptick have you seen in things like Temu, right? People buying stuff off of Temu. There's Temu ads everywhere. How much is that going to be impacted? I would assume it's going to be, pretty significant. But yeah, other than that, I think you pretty much covered it. So well done, Ab.
Yeah. Well, and as far as fair goes, like, I mean, everybody loves to hate. It's like either you support Trump or you hate Trump. And there's like very little like critical thought. I don't see the big problem with reciprocal. Like you're gonna tariff us 10%, we're gonna tariff you 10%.
Right. Yeah.
You're gonna tariff us up 20%, we're gonna tariff you 20%. Maybe there's more to it than that, but on paper, it seems pretty logical.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'd have to agree with that. So,
shall we get to the downside of tariffs, aka tariff bad?
Ooh, tariff bad. Yeah, let's hear why we might think tariff bad.
All right, higher prices for everyone. When tariffs make imports more expensive, businesses usually raise their prices, meaning consumers end up paying more for everyday goods. If the food that we're bringing in through the borders is ending up on the shelves, costs more, it's going to cost more for us to buy it. All right, I get it. Other countries fight back. If one country imposes tariffs, others often respond with their own, leading to trade wars that hurt businesses and economies worldwide. Example, Canada and China hit back with their own tariffs affecting multiple industries. WallStreetJournal.com.
Yeah, which is, kind of crazy. We're already seeing that. We've already seen that. You're seeing the videos of Canada, like, taking the Jack Daniels off the shelves. Not in here, which I don't get, because don't they have to sell it anyway? Like, isn't it already, it's not like you just send it back. Like, you guys already own it. Just you might as well sell it in the store. Make some sort of profit. If anything, probably jack up the price a little bit. It's a rare find, Get yourself a bottle of Jack Daniels for $59.99 because it's rare.
Take it off the shelf, don't import it for a year, and then put it back on the shelf. Bada bing, bada boom.
That's it. Make a little money for yourself.
My friend, that's sales.
That's sales. That's supply and demand.
So last con is it can hurt economic efficiency. According to theguardian.com, throwing the source out first on this one.
Ooh, change up.
Tariffs can protect industries that may not be competitive on a global scale, which can lead to wasted resources and higher cost. Example, some economists argue that while tariffs aim to save jobs, they often create inefficiencies and don't always help the economy in the long run. So what are the tariffs currently doing? Well, it's making me and Al freaking want to explode, because one day tariffs are making the treasury bond and mortgage rates go down, and the next day they're scaring everybody out of the stock market, or they're one day they're great and mortgage rates are going down. The next day, tariffs are the worst thing in the world and mortgage rates go up. Tariff policies have caused market ups and downs, making investors nervous and affecting big companies. Example, the S&P 500 recently dropped 1.7%, hit a 7-week low, with companies like Dell and GM feeling the impact, according to investors.com. What's the bottom line here, Alvin? Tariffs good or tariffs bad?
Tariffs so. I think the bottom line is, let's just wait and see, right? You have all these folks that are up in arms, and pretty much with everything lately, but especially with this, talking about, well, this is what happened before, and this is what we think is going to happen. Let's just wait and see. Let's just see what happens, right? Nobody really knows how this is going to go. Nobody has a crystal ball. So, whatever happens, we'll react to it, and we'll be fine in the long run. So
yeah, I think
maybe there's a deeper underlying, reason for all this that hasn't been exposed yet. So all you're seeing is the surface level things that are happening. Maybe there's a few other cards that are going to be played down the line. So again, let's just wait and see.
Let's wait and see. I think, to conclude, tariff good and tariff bad.
Tariff so.
So I'm with you, Al. Let's see how this plays out. And I've been feeling lately that I want to be informed. I want to know all this stuff. But at the same time, I don't want to know all this stuff. And there's too much information. I feel like we should get like quarterly updates, not like 3 times a day updates.
Yeah.
Maybe as a society we're better off getting quarterly updates.
Well, otherwise we're just sitting on pins and needles every single day. There's like breaking news. This is what's happening. It's like, oh my God, this is great. Oh my God, we're all going to die. And then, oh my God, this is great. And oh my God, we're going to die. Every day, multiple times a day. I could not agree with you more. Let's just maybe take a step back and just like, okay, instead of doing this like multiple times a day, just give me a breakdown like weekly. You know what I mean? These are the things that happen. Maybe it wasn't, the thing that we thought was, oh my God, this is going to ruin everything. Maybe it wasn't that bad in the long run, right?
Right.
So
maybe take more of a stoic approach. But
it's not a bad idea either.
I think that we could get into it and talk about how possibly this mass amount of information is a tactic to control and tyrannize the people of the world. Segue into cryptocurrency.
Man, you and your segues, you have such a knack for transition.
Segue into cryptocurrencies, which Bitcoin was developed, true Bitcoin, true cryptocurrency. The thought was blockchain. The thought was take the decentralizing wealth, decentralizing government control over money, and let's give people, everyday people, the ability to grab, accumulate, hold wealth in a decentralized form. That's what Bitcoin started out as. That I think that was the foundation of the of the unknown guy that started Bitcoin. But now we're finding ourselves in a situation where I guess the governments of the world believe that cryptocurrency may be the future. Trump certainly believes in it. He has recently came out, and I think maybe part of his campaign or since was, they want to be he wants the United States to be a front runner in cryptocurrency. We want to, embrace it and make it part of our lives. So today, a little headline from NPR for you. Today, Trump is set to speak to crypto founders and investors at the White House. So this comes off of recent remarks and from both Trump, the Treasury, and his cabinet, that they're talking about creating a reserve, building the country's reserve out of Bitcoin.
Ooh.
The United States currently has a stockpile of 200,000 Bitcoins, which is 18. I don't know what Bitcoin's trading at today, but it goes up, and it's up and around 90,000. It's down around so let's call it 90,000. So if it's 90,000, 200,000 Bitcoin at $90,000 a Bitcoin, it's $18 billion stockpile. Government already holds that money. As far as what I could find, there's no initial plans to purchase any more just yet. All of the crypto that is in their government's current stockpile came through way of seizure. So criminals...
Shakedowns.
Shakedowns, yeah. Criminals had Bitcoin, stole Bitcoin, whatever, and our government seized it. It's plain and simple. I don't know what else to say. We got $18 billion from criminals. They stole it.
And then, Uncle Sam said, hey, let me hold that, right?
Yeah.
Uncle Sam did a little pat down, right, on a traffic stop, pulled a couple hundo out of the pocket, right? Mr. Criminal leaves. Yeah. Mr. Criminal gets off the hook. Mr. Criminal's pockets are a little bit lighter. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if Mr. Criminal got off the hook, but there was definitely like a baggie of a substance, and the cop was like, "Oh yeah, that's good stuff. That's cocaine. Book 'em, boys." So
book 'em, boys.
So the fund will be comprised of Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, Solana, and Cardano. Once the big picture is it's going to be made up of those cryptocurrencies. I have a quick video to share on the topic, and then we can get into just chatting about it.
Yeah.
And I think like chatting about it might be pretty good way to go because I don't really know what to make of it.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. But something's got to take over for the gold we don't have in Fort Knox.
Yes. So that's perfect that you said that because that's kind of what I want to talk about. See what this fella has to say.
Suppose the U.S. were to adopt Bitcoin under this plan, $1 to 1 Satoshi. What would that transition look like?
Well, it's difficult to say, but under a Trump administration, I believe we could see the start of that, which is the adoption of Bitcoin as a strategic reserve asset. So President Trump and Senator Cynthia Lummis have announced plans to create this strategic Bitcoin reserve. So to begin with, they would accumulate a massive amount of Bitcoin, potentially 1 million coins. And I think from there, the rebasement is just a matter of time when the fiat currency fails. When people no longer want to accept the dollar, we will rebase to Satoshis as the underlying currency. And Trump has hinted of this. He said, maybe we pay off the debt by giving people a bit of Bitcoin.
Who knows? Maybe we'll pay off our $35 trillion, hand him a little crypto check, right? Hand him a little Bitcoin.
I don't know if he's exactly thinking of rebasing to Bitcoin, but he's hinting, or at least his line of thought is moving in that direction.
So how does that work if they do go that route? Is there just like a currency exchange for the amount of dollars, the amount of money that you have, and then you get Bitcoin? I'm excited to see how that process plays out.
I don't know, but at some point, the Federal Reserve, the world's currencies were all based on how much your dollars translate to gold. That was the reserve.
Mm-hmm.
Things were based off gold. The Federal Reserve could only make as much money as it had in gold.
Just read about it.
Just read about it. I don't know.
Give your own opinion.
I'm just some bro. I wish I was lacing up my cleats at some cornfield right now to play MIDI in a pickup lacrosse game.
Ooh.
I don't want to be reading this stuff.
No.
But
I just wants to lace up. Yeah. Well said, Lace. That's been a show. That's a good show. Covered a lot. Do your own research. Let us know what you think. Ab?
This has been That Mortgage Show. I have to get on the road. NP.
Until next time, folks.
All right. See
Later.
ya.